Good morning, everybody. For all of you who decided to wake up early and catch the show, you're in for some bombshells today. This is crazy. Now, I know that a lot of other people have looked at this 5,000 page bill. And since the bill's been published, of course, it's become the center of controversy. Now, of course, Trump has come out and threatened not to sign it because he feels like it doesn't do enough to bankrupt the economy. So instead of the $600, he was pushing for the $2,000. That's called unsustainable. Now, it's crazy how this chessboard works because he's pitting the fears that people have against one another. Those of us that know that these stimulus checks are unsustainable, we see exactly what's happening here. The faster, the better. Why do an additional 2 stimulus bills at $600 when you can just jump straight to the gate and get this economy crashed as quickly as possible? Let's just give away the bank. This is unsustainable, and you know in the pit of your heart that what I'm telling you is true. You know it's true. Even though it sounds great to have a $2,000 check and everyone's saying they need the relief, we know this is unsustainable. What we all need to do is get back to life the way it was. And even that life was a big straw man, but at least we can get back there and then we can talk about the problems and move on from there. Now, we debated this yesterday. We don't need more money. We need to get back to life as normal, and we need to call this for what it is. And we need the president to do that. What is it? It's no longer a spamdemic. I don't care what you say. Where are all the flu season death numbers? They're non-existent. So that is what we need. Someone to call a spade a spade. And there's only Trump was so hard on the mainstream media, and rightfully so. He said fake news. So then why are we now believing the fake news when they tell us all of these things? Why is his administration being guided by the fake news as it relates to the spamdemic? Why is he so afraid to just say enough is enough? Let's all go back to the way things were. But instead, he makes a vaccine that funds it with your tax dollars. So he's doing just the opposite of what he should be doing. And of course, billions and billions of dollars are being doled out. Some of that's going to make its way back to him, make no mistake. But they're really smart about how they move this money around so that it doesn't look like they're profiting off of it. I'll give you a prime example. Governor Lamont in Connecticut. He was perfectly set up a year to 2 years before all this happened, perfectly set up, him and his wife, who worked in the pharmaceutical industry, to do all or much of the testing in Connecticut, much of the contact tracing, all of the things that are components of what we're going through right now. He was perfectly set up to make money off of it. And you can find the articles right there in some of the Connecticut newspapers. But he wiggled out of it. And a judge determined that there was no insider information, that he was perfectly in his legal right to make this money. But the timing, it's just the timing of it. And everybody knows it. And so if he can pull this off, why wouldn't the president and his family pull this off? So people picked apart this bill over the last several days from here to Sunday, and they found all kinds of ridiculous spending. And of course, Trump positioned himself to wash his hands of this and say that he does not agree with the bill. And that sounds like a good thing. But wait till you get into what we found today. Now, first we're going to review some of the stuff people already found. Now, I didn't find Jared Kushner's name in here, but someone said he was getting $2 billion, maybe a company he's attached to. I don't know. There's horse racing in here. There's GENDER operations in Pakistan. There's foreign aid going to already wealthy countries like Izzy to the Real for their defense. In fact, let's do a search on this because this is crazy. They're mentioned 58 times. Let's let this catch up here. They were mentioned 58 times. This thing just takes a minute to catch up here. We'll let that do its thing. And there's also excess corporate spending, of course. And, of course, that's what Trump pretended to be opposed to. But remember, this is all smoke and mirrors. Okay? When there's too much heat, they come out and pretend like they're against it. Here's Izzy to the Real, mentioned 58 times. Of course, that number 58 means a lot. Let's look at some of the spending here. So you can see this with your own eyes. You know, I'm not making it up. Why are we giving money to already wealthy countries? $73 million for the Iron Dome defense system. You know, it's crazy. Technology for this country far surpasses a couple of guys with rockets shooting them over a fence. Okay? Their technology isn't even close. And yes, there shouldn't be people, you know, everyone has the right to defense, but why is that our responsibility? Why is that our responsibility? So this is what's going on. A lot of money going to Izzy to the Real for their defenses. While, you know, this is just crazy. Now, what else was in this bill? Well, there's a lot of aid to Africa I wanted to talk to you about. And we're going to get into some of this other stuff because there's blockchain. We're going to look at blockchain. We're going to look at artificial intelligence is mentioned in this bill as well. We'll get into that later in the show. But there's a lot of effort to develop Africa in this bill. And again, on its face, that sounds great and amazing, right? We just talked about Africa the other day, about an individual that I talked to, young man, who has seen the corruption with his own eyes, who has images of the gold spilling out of the UN trucks when they were released from their lockdown after mineral discoveries were made. He talked to me about the Ebola and all this and how it just magically would show up in places where they had just discovered minerals, diamonds and gold. So I'm hoping to get that interview secured. It'll probably be after the first of the year. But why are we spending all this money to develop Africa when the corruption is still rampant? UN corruption, their own government corruption. So they prop up these people to run these countries that are paid, bought and paid for. They give them money to keep control and let the corporations come in and fleece the people. Okay, this is what's really happening. And so you got to ask yourself, why are they developing Africa? Well, I believe it is not for the interests of the people. It's for the interests of the corporations and the mineral interests there. It has nothing to do with helping people. There's something in here about the electricity. They want to electrify Africa, right? Well, they're going to need that infrastructure in order to build their plants and their mining operations, right? So everything that I just talked about is mentioned in this bill, but we found another aspect to this that you may not have heard yet. So I searched the word vaccine, and look what I found. Let's go back to the beginning here. Almost every single entry is about brainwashing people into accepting it. In other words, your tax dollars are paying for aid to come back to you, but also to brainwash you into their agenda. In fact, it's VC propaganda. Let's look at some of these entries. Before we do that, we're going to type in the word propaganda, because when you search the word propaganda, they admit that they are engaged in propaganda. It's unbelievable. It's right in our faces. Now, this is the kind of stuff that you can show family and friends about how they bring to bear the media and money to steer us on their course, not the will of the people, but their course. So look at this. General provisions. It says, no part of any appropriation contained in this act shall be used for publicity or propaganda purposes not authorized by Congress. Not authorized by Congress. Now watch this. No part of funds appropriated in this act shall be used or agency executive branch other than for normal and recognized executive legislative relationships for publicity or propaganda purposes. Right there in black and white. And for the preparation, distribution, or use of any kit, pamphlet, book, publication, they call it propaganda. This is crazy. None of the federal funds provided in this act shall be used for publicity or propaganda purposes or implementation of any policy, including boycott, designed to support or defeat legislation pending before Congress. So you can't use any of this money to disagree with them. What does this one say? Nope. Other than for normal and recognized executive legislative relationships for publicity or propaganda purposes. So they're telling you right there in plain sight, prohibition of publicity or propaganda. They're saying only if Congress approves of it. So they're admitting to it. Now let's get into the word vaccine as we pull this bill apart. Takes a second to load up here. For the expenses of Department of Justice associated with processing cases under the National Childhood VC Injury Act, not to exceed 17 million. So they basically cap the damages that you can get at 17 million to be appropriated from the VC Injury Compensation Trust Fund and to remain available until expended. VC Injury Compensation Program Trust Fund. Oh, look, they've got Ryan White in here. For payments from the VC Injury Compensation Program Trust Fund, such sums may be necessary for claims associated with vaccine-related injury or death, with respect to the VCs administered after September 30th, 1988. So this is an old law that was on the books. So they're basically putting a limit on what can be handed out for people that are taking the new VC. Do you see how this works? Why would this be included in here if there was no threat of people being damaged by this? What does this section say? Additional amount for expenses necessary to prepare for or respond to a flu spamdemic. That's $287 million. Okay, so that's flu, so it's a little bit different. Vaccine procurement and delivery is included in the bill. That's $4 billion. So this is what we're going through right now. Here they mention CV specifically. 9 million shall be for the development of necessary medical countermeasures and vaccines. 30 million for advanced manufacturing, supply chains. Here we get into some of the propaganda and how they're going to distribute this. Plan, prepare for, promote, distribute, administer, monitor, and track CVVCs. So this is where your contact tracing comes in. They actually mention contact tracing specifically as well. We'll get into that a little bit later in the program. To ensure broad-based distribution. Spending a lot of money on this. Here's the promotion and preparedness. May be used to restore, either directly or through reimbursement, obligations incurred for CVVC promotion, preparedness, tracking, and distribution. Storage. They always put a section in here for the Native Americans as well, the tribes. Nationwide VC targets. Weird, right? Funding that will be distributed to states, localities, and territories. How an informational campaign to inform both public and health care providers will be executed, and how the strategy and plan will focus efforts on high-risk, underserved populations, including racial and ethnic minority populations. So this is how they're going to get this out there. Keep going. A lot of stuff in here about the VCs. Now, when you think about this kind of aid, why is this part of it? Isn't this just about helping the people and corporations deal with what's happening, how we're being forced to stay out of work? Why does this have to be part of it? Skip through these here. Public awareness campaign on the importance of VCs. Here's the brainwashing here. In general, Secretary acting through the Director of Centers to the D to the C shall award competitive grants or contracts to one or more public or private entities to carry out a national evidence-based campaign to increase awareness and knowledge of the safety and effectiveness of the VCs for the prevention and control of it. Okay, so there's a lot of, oh, look at misinformation, combat misinformation. That's all of us, you guys. We're going to hire a bunch of people to come on to YouTube, get your channel taken down for having an opinion on this, right? Disseminate scientific and evidence-based VC-related information. The goal of increasing, here's their goal, increasing the rates of VC of the nation across all ages, as applicable, particularly in communities with low rates of VC. So they're going to be focused on the places where people don't want them to reduce and eliminate preventable diseases. So there it is right there. You're paying for your own indoctrination. So it's all about dissemination of information. Just want to make sure we don't miss anything here. Low VC nation rates. They're very focused on that. If the rates are low, they're going to come at you with some of this money. Now, you would think, well, let's not get into that. Grants to address VC preventable diseases. I think that's about all it talks about here. Money going to that. Now, let's get into some of these other aspects of this bill outside of the VCs, because this is astounding. And, you know, as we go through this, I want you guys to come up with words and phrases that you want me to search, you know, and after we go through the ones that I came up with, we can look at some of the ones that you want me to search in this document. What I want you to do is when I do go into the chat, put those search terms in all capital letters so I can see them as they go by, okay? VC data, look at this. This is interesting. shall expand, enhance, and appropriate, establish, and improve programs and conduct activities to collect, monitor, and analyze VC coverage data to assess levels of protection. So they're going to trace and track all this. They're going to come up with new programs to make sure that they know exactly who has been VC nated. Now, if there was ever a sign for the future, it would be that now they're already trying to say that this thing has mutated, and the new VCs may or may not cover this new mutation. And so this is going to be an endless stream of cha-ching for the pharma companies. Every year they'll just parade out a new strain and a new VC, and it might not be mandatory, but these people are making money hand over fist. Now, I was shocked to see this particular search term. Three-dimensional printing. Let's look at this. Study to advance three-dimensional printing. No later than 1 year after the date of the enactment of this act, in coordination with the head of the appropriate federal agency, shall complete a study on the state of the three-dimensional printing industry and the impact of such industry on the United States economy. Why would they want to do that? Because they want to control it. So here's the study. Develop and conduct a survey of three-dimensional printing industry through outreach to participating entities. I'll tell you a quick story. I had a friend I used to fish with out on the bluffs in Big Sur, and we'd be out there in what we thought was the middle of nowhere, but apparently that area is very well scrutinized by the United States government or the state, whatever you want to call it. Seems like every time we go out there, some weird actor shows up, starts asking us a bunch of questions about what kind of fish we're catching. Now, much of that coastline is marine protected sanctuary, and I try to explain to my friend, the more information you give these people, they're just going to use it to create more marine protected sanctuaries so that we can't fish here anymore. Pretty soon, this entire coastline is going to be marine protected sanctuaries, and they don't undo the sanctuary. Once they have it established, they don't just turn it back to its natural state and allow you to fish there. Now, we're bank fishermen, so the odds of us even catching a fish are very low compared to someone in a boat. But yet, the same rules apply. You can't pull a fish out of your own ocean, the ocean God gave you, from the shore. And so, I don't give any information to these government surveys. When someone comes up to me, I just say, I really don't want to answer your questions. You would be shocked at how many times this has happened to us. So, they're talking about doing a study and asking people questions about the 3D industry. Don't tell them anything. Establish a list of industry sectors that implement and promote the use of three-dimensional printing. So the government wants in on this. Establish a list of public-private partnerships focused on promoting the adoption and use of three-dimensional printing, as well as industry-based bodies. So, what does it say? Which have developed or are developing mandatory or voluntary standards for three-dimensional printing. The status of such industry-based mandatory or voluntary standards, and provide a description of the ways entities or industry sectors implement and promote the use of three-dimensional printing. Develop a list of federal agencies with jurisdiction over entities and industry sectors. Okay, so they want to control it. They're looking at jurisdiction and how they can control this. I'll link this bill in the pinned comment for you guys. But the language associated with all of these different sectors that we're going to look at are pretty much the same. They talk about establishing their dominance and establishing their role as federal government within these industries, because they also talk about advanced materials. So they want a piece of that pie too. Let's look at advanced materials. Now, this one's kind of interesting. Authorization of appropriations for Advanced Materials Center of Excellence. develop and conduct a survey of the new and advanced materials industry through outreach to participating entities. What are advanced materials? This would be any new materials that people are coming up with, plastics, alloys, and the federal government definitely wants a piece of that. There's also this interesting part of the bill called the Study to Advance Internet of Things. I had not heard this term before, but here it is. The Secretary of Commerce shall conduct a study on the state of the Internet-connected devices industry, commonly known as the Internet of Things. So that is something new as well. Now let's get into the artificial intelligence, because that's mentioned in here as well. All this stuff in this bill. The term artificial intelligence has the meaning given the term in Section 238 of the John McCain John McCain Act. Okay. I didn't know that artificial intelligence was mentioned in there. Improve cohesion and competency in the adoption and use of artificial intelligence within the federal government. What's that about? Let's go back to this and read this from the beginning here. Regularly convening individuals from agencies, federal labs, nonprofit organizations, institutions of higher education, and other entities to discuss recent developments in artificial intelligence, including the dissemination of information regarding programs, pilots, and other initiatives at agencies, as well as recent trends and relevant information on the understanding, adoption, and use of artificial intelligence. So, this is important to the federal government. What else do we have in here? Well, $22 billion to testing, contact tracing, surveillance, containment. Now, here it is right here. Let's back up. For an additional amount for Public Health and Social Services Emergency Fund, $22 billion to remain available until September 30th, 2022 to prevent, prepare for, and respond to CV, till 2022, domestically or internationally, which shall be for necessary expenses for testing, contact tracing, surveillance, containment, and mitigation to monitor and suppress CV, including tests for both active and prior exposure, including molecular, antigen, and serological tests, manufacturing, procurement, and distribution of tests, testing equipment, testing supplies, personal protective equipment needed for administering tests, development and validation of rapid molecular point-of-care tests. This is a lot of money. To scale up academic, commercial, public health, hospital laboratories, to conduct surveillance and contact tracing. Okay, that's the world we're going to live in now. Everyone's going to be surveilled. Public testing plans. They always got to throw in the Native Americans there. They want to make sure that they have them covered. Now, I heard, we'll get into this later in the show, but I heard that Trump came after and began to threaten Native American lands, saying that, I think this was in Massachusetts. We'll look at that later in the show, but basically he wanted some of that land back. I don't know if it ended up happening, but he threatened it. So look at all this. This is going to be our future. Contact tracing, surveillance, containment. What does containment mean? Mitigation. I wonder if FEMA's mentioned in here. Let's look for FEMA, because that's probably important, right? Now, they also talk about the southern border and increasing the southern border security. They talk about drones and different types of technologies, ground penetrating radar to look for tunnels and things like this. And that sounds great, but at the end of the day, fences keep things in as well as out. We already saw the scenario in which Mexico and Canada closed their borders for Americans escaping in the dark winter scenario. So all of these drone and technologies that they're going to use would also keep us in. Let's do Federal Emergency Management. Looking for FEMA. Oh, there we go. There's FEMA. All right, so we've got FEMA in here. Let's see what they have to say about FEMA. Okay. Oh, only 25 grand, which shall be transferred to FEMA, of which 20 million, shall be used for targeting violence in terrorism prevention grants, and 5 million shall be, let's go down here, alternatives to detention case management. We're trying to see if there's anything about FEMA being responsible and involved in any kind of quarantine. That's what I'm looking for. Construction, improvements. It looks like FEMA is getting some money for construction and improvements. I thought they'd be getting more money, but it's in the millions. All right. Disaster relief, $2 billion. General provisions. Okay. What else do we have in here? Oh, let's look at drones. We're almost through this, you guys, and I got a couple stories I want to show you after we get through this bill. Why should we, why is this so hard to like, why is it so much information in this bill? They were only given a couple hours to even review this before passing it. The question is, will Trump sign it? I know he's saying he's not going to sign it. We're definitely going to look at any adjustments made to the bill and see what's he took out or had them take out or what he didn't. My guess is much of this will remain intact. They might throw out a little bit more money to people to keep them quiet and to allow them to pass the bill. This is how this works. It's like selling out. Oh, Trump's giving us more money, just pass the dang bill. That's the mentality that they want. Okay? And they disclose it. They've given us what they're trying to do. And if we're not smart enough to look at it and go, no way, we don't care if we get more money in our check, you're not passing this, then we have given our consent. Do you see how that works? Let's look at drones. Drone. Now, of course, 5G whiz, blockchain is mentioned in here, quantum computing. We're going to look at that next. So here's what they have to say about drones. This is about the southern border. Unmanned delivery services. Unmanned delivery services? What? Study to advanced unmanned delivery services. Wow. This is gold right here. Shall complete a study on the impact of unmanned delivery services on United States businesses conducting interstate commerce. Wow. So, you're going to have drones flying around delivering pizzas. Establish a list of industry sectors that develop and use unmanned delivery services, including the use of autonomous vehicles, drones, and robots. Welcome to Terminator. Unbelievable. Challenges to development of unmanned delivery services. And so what this tells us is that, wow, looks like the government wants to get involved in the unmanned delivery service. They even mentioned groceries, meals, and medications. This means that they anticipate that we're going to continue to be locked in our homes. That's what this is about. Make no mistake, they're planning on it. Delivering groceries, meals, and medications and other necessities to senior citizens, people with disabilities, and people without access to traditional transportation. Address challenges public health emergencies present, including delivering groceries, meals, medications, any other potential use of such services. Identify risk associated with adoption of unmanned delivery services on roads and in the air or other environments, including any dangers posed to pedestrians, bicyclists, motorists. So we're going to have a bunch of drones flying around delivering our food. Then they'll say, if anyone's seen on the street, you'll be arrested. This is what's coming next, you guys. They're just slowly building up to it until we call this, what we're going through, what it is, a bad flu. This is going to be our life. Identify the effect of unmanned delivery service on traffic safety and congestion. Evaluate the extent to which software technology and infrastructure behind unmanned delivery services are developed and manufactured in the U.S. Identify the number and types of jobs that may be lost or substantially changed due to the development of unmanned delivery services. Identify the number and types of jobs that may be created due to development and adoption of unmanned delivery services. Wow. Evaluate the effect of the adoption. So all the you people that are delivering food, guess what? Uber Eats and all the people delivering food out there, this is the plan that they have. Your jobs are going to go away too. This is why they made it so cheap to have your food delivered, because they're trying to get everyone used to it. And then they're just going to come in here and then they're going to even control the delivery of your own food to your home. Wow. I didn't know this part was in here. Develop contextual unmanned. It's a lot of stuff on unmanned delivery services. Supply chain of unmanned delivery services. Ooh. Review the ability of foreign governments or third parties to exploit such supply chain in a manner that raises risks. So this is a big deal, you guys. National security of the United States. Identify emerging risks and long-term trends in such marketplace and supply chain. So then they want them to report to Congress 6 months after the completion of the study. Then they're going to submit it to the Committee on Science, Space, and Technology at the House of Representatives. You guys, this is huge. This is huge. They're basically going to study how to deliver our food through drones. So if you own a supermarket right now, or you have stock in supermarkets where the interface is for people to walk in, that's all going to change. They're going to probably have like these warehouses full of food that nobody goes into except the drones. And there might be some jobs loading these drones up with the food, but then they're going to like land. they're going to deploy and then land at different people's houses. Wow, this is crazy. Okay, on to the next thing, quantum computing. Quantum. Now, if you just joined the show, in a few minutes here, we're going to look at what search terms you guys want me to search in the bill. So again, you're going to be putting those in capital letters so I can see them. Study to advance quantum computing. Now, Anthony Patch is like the go-to guy on quantum computing. He digs down really deep. Some of his work and my work cross over a bit, but I'm not the authority on this. I don't have a complete understanding of quantum computing. So if you want to learn all about that and dig deeper, he's the channel you want to go to. So they're talking about quantum computing. It is mentioned in this bill. So they're looking at the quantum computing industry, of course. Survey of quantum computing industry through outreach or participating entities. Establish a list of industry sectors that implement and promote the use of quantum computing. Developing mandatory or voluntary standards for quantum computing. So they want to know what the standards are, and then they're going to turn that into a law. That is what is happening here. Anytime they start talking about it, it's because they want to set laws to control it. Blockchain. Ever wonder if we are eventually going to implement blockchain? Well, here's your answer. Because if they're already looking at it and want to control it, that means it's going to be part of our lives soon. Let's take a look at some of the blockchain. Study to advance blockchain technology. So, impact on the United States economy. So all the verbiage is the same. So that's why we don't need to read through each of these, because they want to basically examine it, study it, see how the federal government fits into it. That's not freedom. When you got the government with their fingers in every single new technology that comes out and they want to capitalize on it, control it, make laws to control it, that's not freedom. That's called control. Identify federal government resources that exist for consumers and small businesses to evaluate the use of blockchain technology. All right. Now, you're going to be shocked to hear me say this, but I did find one good thing in this bill. Countering internet censorship. Now, for some reason, when they talk about this, they're focused on this place called Belarus, which I believe is a small country. But here it says right here, countering internet censorship and repressive surveillance technology that seek to limit free association, control access to information, and prevent citizens from exercising their rights to free speech. So, let's go back up here and look at what they were referring to. See this Belarus thing? Let's go back up here. Oh, so they want to do this for Belarus, but not us. Assistance to promote democracy, civil society, and sovereignty in Belarus. Not for us. Just for Belarus. This is what we need. We need countering internet censorship here on our soil. So this is a funky bill, you guys. This is really funky. Now, let me just make sure we're connected here. It appears as though we are. We'll let that catch up. Remember, put everything in all caps that you want me to search for. Before we do that, here's some updates Apparently, some people had allergic reactions from nanoparticles. This is out of Science, AAAS. And they're saying that people who do have allergic reactions probably shouldn't get the vaccine. Well, guess what? I've had allergic reactions before. I've had to go to the emergency room. So that's going to be my ticket out of this. And many of you probably have too. Just say, I have a fear of allergic reactions. They're trying to wipe it away. Here's AP saying that they're rare and short-lived. But how do they know? Have they done long-term studies to know that these allergic reactions are short-lived? They don't know. So how can they say this? How can they say this? What else do we have here? Here's from the Atlantic. This guy's trying to minimize the fear of VC allergies. It says it's overblown. Most allergies shouldn't be an issue. How do you know? Did you do a study on it? Who was in the study? Anaphylactic reaction. This is an article out of the Altoona Mirror, December 22nd, 2020. VC recipients still must take care. People have been vaccinated against CV can still be infectious. So, there's never any way out of this. It will just keep rolling and rolling and rolling. And it's funny because just the other day in this article, we just talked about how the washed up has been celebrities are always the ones who come forward and act like they're taking a stand. And look, Kirk Cameron, if this is what you're really doing, you're really trying to take a stand and stand up for it. Bless you, brother. But this is the kind of thing we needed when you were in your prime, or people like you in their prime in Hollywood, real people with something to lose, to stand up and not wear a mask. He does this maskless sing-along protest. Of course, he got slammed. Here's Kirk Cameron and his basically what looks like a mask, but it's a beard. You know, technically he could say, oh, look at my nose is covered and my mouth is mostly covered. And bless you, Kirk Cameron, if your intentions are good. I'm not trying to goof on you, but, you know, really we need the leaders in Hollywood. We need talk show hosts. Where's Dr. Oz and all this? Where is all the other people who are leaders in Hollywood coming forward and just saying enough is enough? They're non-existent. Almost everyone is agreeing with this in the mainstream media. Sometimes I think they throw these people out here just to make it look like, oh, look, this is it's like an act. It's like a, what do they call that? Live action role play, right? So they're like, hey, we'll put a couple of washed up actors and people will go, oh, why should we listen to him? He's washed up. And look at, then they dress him up in like this goofy, outfit. And so he's not taken seriously. You see, look at the look on his face. He's even look like he's trying to act like I don't know. Do you guys see what I'm saying here? This is like a setup. It's like a psyop. It's like subliminally, anyone who sees the story, they're going to say, why should we listen to him? He's washed up. He's irrelevant now. Okay, whereas if you had like Denzel Washington come out and say, I'm not wearing a mask, that's completely different. He's active. He's an actor, one of the most well-paid actors in history. People look up to him. He would be a leader in the black community. A lot of black people would be like, okay, great. We're not going to do one either. See, like Kirk Cameron is irrelevant. So this to me it's probably a psyop. Him coming out saying he's not going to wear a mask. Now he did get a lot of people to come out here in Thousand Oaks. There they are. So, Kirk Cameron, if it's not a psyop, my apologies, but I don't know, man. All right, let's go back in here. What do you guys want me to search for? All right, so this is going to take a while to catch up. For some reason, when you click away on a different tab, the chat will back up, so to speak, and when you click back on the tab, it catches up. So, let's let this catch up. And I'll just stay in this window here. Thanks everybody who showed up this morning. It is, of course, Christmas Eve. And look, during this time, I just, focus on spending time with family. Okay. That's what this is about. Unfortunately, we're given set windows of when we're allowed to spend time with our families. We're allowed these set windows of time off of work. And so rather than be negative about it and go, uh, you know, we shouldn't, obviously I don't believe in the whole psyop of Christmas, but let's try to focus on the positive that we are having time with family and focus on that. All right. There's Amy. Amy became a member. Thanks, Amy, for becoming a channel member. Appreciate that. Okay, looks like it's finally catching up here. Oh, Christy Belly says unvcnated. That's a great search term. All right, we'll be right back in here. Yeah, because that's all of us, right? Okay, let's let that do its thing. Now I'll post links to the stories we just went over in the pinned comment. That's where I like to put everything, because if I put it in the description, YouTube picks that up and they will take it down or censor the video. Doesn't look like the word unvcnated showed up. Sorry, guys. Yep, no, it's not showing up. Okay, what else? Now, if any of you are considering, and I appreciate the channel membership, Amy, we're trying to move people off of the channel memberships here and to the PayPal channel memberships, because when YouTube comes through and defunds channels, they take away all the channel memberships, but they can't do that with the PayPal. So there's a link in the description. If any of you are thinking about becoming a channel member, you can do that through PayPal instead. But if you are here on the channel and do the channel membership through YouTube, which is what Amy did, there's little like perks. They give you a little badge here. Like Any Blue is a channel member, and she gets a little badge when you make comments and things like that. So you don't get that through the PayPal membership. But that's just a little information on that. So let's see. We looked up FEMA already, Tam Tam. Schools. Oh, that's great. Whoa. Tracking. Okay, let's look up schools and tracking. That's a great idea. You guys are so smart. You guys are the smartest. What is this? School Lunch Act? Wow, school's mentioned a lot. 300 times. And it's still counting. Wow, 330. Ooh, that's creepy. The word school is mentioned 330 times. There's your 33. All right, let's start from the beginning. This is going to be a long one. Well, maybe we should look up tracking. Track. All right, that's 26. Nope, still counting. Track. Whoa. Oh my gosh, this is a whole nother show, you guys. Okay, this is tracking violence against Indian women, which is an act to track undispersed balances in expired grant accounts. Track undispersed balances. Procurement of WEAPONS and tracked combat vehicles. Non-track combat vehicles. What is that about? Army. Looks like some military stuff. Tracking obligations, tracking. Foreign assistance funds. Foreign assistance coordination tracking system. So there's a lot of just tracking. Oh, what was that? Flight tracking? Real-time flight tracking of aircraft's movements. A lot of the stuff's like defense. Track special purpose vouchers. Performance tracking. Whoa. Tracking CVVCs to ensure broad-based distribution. Okay, I think we covered that already. Let's go back to schools. Tracking student attendance, improving student engagements, and what was that? distant education. So they're tracking the students. Tracking payroll, tracking supplies. Okay. A star tracker? What? National security satellite if the satellite uses a star tracker that is not produced in the US. That's weird. Okay. It's intelligence, so there's some intelligence aspects to this. I don't know what the star tracker is. Okay, so tracking's in there quite a bit, but it's kind of convoluted. It'd be hard to get through it. Let's go back to the schools, you guys. This is important. Mentioned 330 times. That's crazy. Okay, School Lunch Act. Okay, so that makes sense. Here's 30 million for grants because all these children are basically staying at home, right? So they're going to need equipment. You know, they might even have laptops included in this school breakfast program. So they've got the School Lunch Act in here pretty prominently, several mentions. To a farm to school grant recipients. For school years 2020 to 2021 and 2021 to 2022, none of the funds made available by this act may be used to implement or enforce the matter following the first comma in whatever. Not reading that. School breakfast program. Poultry products. Okay, so they're saying that no poultry products from China will be used in the school lunch program. That's weird. School breakfast program, Nutrition Act. A lot of stuff about feeding children. That aren't even going to be in school. Milk? None of the funds may be used to restrict the offering of low-fat flavored milk in the National School Lunch Program. Research in the root causes of school violence. Domestic radicalization phenomenon. What? Radicalization is coming from what they're seeing on TV because they're all locked in their houses right now. Okay, a lot of school stuff, you guys. It's going to take forever to get through all that. Let's move on to something else that might be a little more rare. Wow. Jeez. School improvement. 52 million for a federal payment for school improvement program in the District of Columbia. So DEC is going to get their schools fixed up, apparently. Well, okay. Let's go back in here. That's a big one. All right. Yeah, we already looked at FEMA earlier in the show. There wasn't anything about camps that I could see, unless I missed it. All right. What else do we have here? Child removal. Oh, yeah, let's look up child. That's a good one. Child. Wow, a lot of stuff on children in here. Oh my gosh. Just as many as schools, you guys, if not more. 318. Preventing online sales of e-cigarettes to children. Okay. Child nutrition programs. All right. A lot about child nutrition. Lots and lots of child nutrition. But again, that's far too many. Child protection. Yeah, lots of stuff on children. Food protein. Drought, famine. Food protein. Let's see. Nothing. Drought. Oh, got some on drought. We got 3. Spin the wheel. Okay. In response to an eligible community where the drinking water supplies are inadequate due to natural disaster determined by the Secretary, including drought or severe weather, the Secretary may provide potable water through the emergency. Okay, so they're just providing water there. Drought Relief Act. Drought Relief Act. Drought Relief Act. To remove invasive plant species in riparian areas that contribute to drought conditions. The lower Colorado River Basin, the Rio Grande. So they were removing invasive plant species. Texas Gulf Coast Basin, Arkansas White Red Basin. Hey. All right. So they got some federal program to remove invasive species and replace them with others. All right. So that's what's going on with that. Drought monitor. Let's look up famine. Doesn't look like anything on famine. Let's go back to the chat. Meatless lunches. All right. And T-gender. Let's look that up. Can't say it. Nothing on T-gender. And meatless. Nothing on meatless. Education is probably a huge one, Michelle. That's going to break the wheel. Digital twin Earth. Grocery stores. Oh, let's see if Walmart shows up in there. Grocery or Walmart. You guys all know that Walmart is a cover for it's military controlled. You know that, right? We all know it. It's interesting because some of their surveillance and facial recognition, they were testing it in the Walmarts, but it was really a government. They were testing it through the government. Let's see here. Walmart. No Walmart. Grocery. Let's look at groceries. Grocer. Got any grocery? Let's let that catch up. Nothing on groceries. Oh, there's got to be. Because we did. Yeah, there it goes. Boom. Oh, yeah, it was everything that we talked about the drone delivery and all that, delivering groceries. So that only showed up twice in that one section. Let's look up Walmart again just to make sure that we didn't mess this up. Nothing on Walmart. Digital wallet. Guillotines. Digital wallet. Let's look up wallet. And let's look up guillotines. Nothing on wallets. If guillotine shows up. I don't think there's anything on guillotines. Nope. All right. Leave the city. I agree 100%. Get out in the country. Get away from concentrations of people. We already looked up 5G. Private property. That's a good one. Spin the wheel. I looked up land. Oh, here we go. Ooh, trouble. You want a trouble? Okay, what does this say here? Let's go back to the beginning. There's a couple mentions of private property. This is important. United States Geological Survey surveys, investigations, and research. For expenses necessary for the United States Geological Survey to perform surveys, investigations, and research covering topography, geology, hydrology, biology, in the mineral and water resources of the U.S., its territories and possessions. Classify lands to their mineral and water resources. Okay, so they're doing an assessment of all the resources. Give engineer supervision to power permittees and Federal Energy Regulatory Commission licenses. Administer the mineral exploration program. Conduct inquiries into economic conditions affecting mining, material processing industries. Okay. So wait, is that a billion? 315 million. That's 1 billion, 1.3 billion. It's a lot of money. 74 million shall be available until expended for deferred maintenance and capital improvement projects that exceed 100,000 in cost, provided that none of the funds provided for the ecosystem research activity shall be used to conduct new surveys on private property, unless specifically authorized in writing by the property owner. Okay. Sounds like a protection of private property. That's good. Okay. That was a good one. All right, back in the chat. Clean meat. I think we already looked that one up. Oh, wait. We already looked up wallet. Yeah, I already looked up 5G Whiz. We already looked that up. Ooh, 501c3. And clean meat. 501c. Yes, that's a good one. Nonprofits. 501c. Let's let that load up. Clean meat. I think we looked that one up already, you guys. I don't see anything in here for 501c3. Nothing. Clean meat. Nothing for clean meat. All right. Church. Meatless meat. Okay, let's look up church and meatless. You guys, we already looked up 5G Whiz before. Church. Oh, we got a hit, you guys. We got a hit. Eligible churches and religious organizations. Sense of Congress. It is a sense of Congress that the interim final rule of the administration entitled Business Loan Program Temporary Changes Paycheck Protection Program properly clarify the eligibility of churches and religious organizations for loans made under paragraph 36 of section 7 Small Business Act. Applicability of prohibition. Increasability. Okay, so it looks like it's clarifying that churches are eligible. I think that's what that's saying. Huh. What is this fascination they have with Belarus? Catholic Church in Belarus can freely exercise their religion, including the head of the Catholic Church in Belarus. They even named the Archbishop here. Huh. Wow, this is weird. Something going on with Belarus. We'll have to get to the bottom of that. Okay, back to the chat. Soylent Green, relocation. Ah, relocation, that's a good one. Relocation. Oh, of the Tibetan nomads from their traditional pasture lands into concentrated settlements. Oh, neither provide incentive for the uh, to facilitate the involuntary or coerced relocation of Tibetan nomads. Okay, so there's one relocation mentioned. Talking about corporate headquarters, telecommunication, relocation expenses, relocation. Relocation salaries for the Native Americans, huh? Evictees from District 6. Whoa. Are to be, so they've got $4 million to relocate some Native Americans from District 6. Who are these Native Americans? These are the Hopi and Navajo. Wonder why they're relocating them. They're called evictees. So they're getting kicked out. Hopi partition lands residents, those in significantly substandard housing, and all other certified as eligible and not included in the preceding categories. Oh, it says that none of the funds contained in this or any other act may be used by the Office of Navajo and Hopi Indian Relocation to evict any single Navajo or Navajo family. I don't know. This is doublespeak. So it says that they can't evict him using the money. Huh. Okay. That looks like about it for relocation. I don't see anything related to CV. All right. Okay, guys, this is a long show. You can do your own search. I just show you how to do it. And what we'll do is if you find some crazy stuff in searches that you do, put them in the comments section so we can all see them, okay? And because I can't claim to know that I've found every single bombshell inside this bill. But with all of our eyes on it, you guys can do your own searches. It's right here. It's a PDF file. I showed you how to do the search. You go in here like this. Go up here. And you go to find. And then you just punch in whatever you want to look for. Hit enter. Now, because this is such a large document, I would wait 10 to 15 seconds to see if it populates and shows you. And then you can just scroll through each of the instances where it appears. Okay. Like this. Hit the down arrow. And then on the right here, you can see in yellow, they show each of the instances. So you can kind of see where you're at in the document. So that's how you search documents. And this is very, very good tool to use because when you're doing any kind of research on a page and you can't read through the whole page and you just want to skip right to the meat of the story or article, whatever you're reading, this is what you want to do. Just hit that search and you can go and search the page like that. These are just little life hacks that I use to do my research to speed things along because I don't have time to read entire documents of things. So we'll leave the show at that. Love each and every one of you. Be saved, of course. Spend some time with your family during this time. And we will be back on here, I guess, after Christmas. I got a show scheduled. I think Monday I'm going to be talking to Mark from the UK, my friend of several years. And he's going to tell us what the situation is there on the ground for him and his family and what they're going through. So if you're from the UK and you're interested in that, or you're from America and interested in what's happening to our brothers and sisters in the UK, this is definitely something that you want to, a show that you want to show up to on Monday. So I love each and every one of you, and we'll be back on here. Take care and be safe, everybody. Be saved, of course.